Ask any founder what their LinkedIn content strategy is, and they'll say something like, I post about startups, leadership, and my founder journey. That's not a strategy. That is a topic list. And a topic list is maybe 1/6 of what an actual content strategy looks like. So today I'm going to show you what a complete LinkedIn content strategy actually contains, why most founders are missing 5 critical pieces, and at the end, I'll show you a free tool that builds the whole thing for you in about 2 minutes. Let's get going. Okay, so here's what happens to most founders on LinkedIn. They decide to get serious about content. Brainstorm some topics, maybe they write them down somewhere, and then they start posting. Easy. Week 1, they're motivated. Week 2, they're still going. Week 3, they're staring at a blank page, wondering what the hell to write about. Week 4, they skip a day, then 2 days. Then they quietly stop posting altogether and tell themselves, LinkedIn doesn't work for my industry. Does that sound familiar? Maybe you are somewhere in that process right now, having the best of intentions for 2026. Let me tell you something. The problem isn't motivation. The problem isn't even the algorithm. The problem is they never had a strategy to begin with, and they never had a system that allows them to just execute. They had a vague intention and some topic ideas. And really, I get it, because that was me. And when you're building a company, you don't have time to become a content strategist. You've got a product to ship, you've got customers to talk to, you've got fires to put out everywhere. And figuring out my LinkedIn content pillars is probably never going to be a top priority for you. But here's the thing, and honestly, this took me way too long to understand. A content strategy isn't supposed to take more time, it's supposed to save time. It's the thing that makes posting sustainable instead of a constant drain of your mental energy. So let me show you what a complete LinkedIn strategy actually looks like. So a real LinkedIn content strategy has 6 parts. Most founders, if they have anything at all, they only have the second one. So let's go through all 6, shall we? Part 1 is your ICP, your ideal customer profile. Who are you talking to? And I don't mean founders or entrepreneurs or B2B professional. That's not specific enough to be useful. I mean, what stage are they in? What's their biggest frustration right now? What do they secretly want but won't say out loud? What do they believe about the world, and what are they getting wrong? When you know this deeply, writing content becomes almost easy. You're not guessing what might resonate. You actually know exactly what problems they are facing and what words they use to describe these problems. When you don't know this, every post is a shot in the dark. Sometimes you hit, mostly you miss. And really you have no idea why. And most founders skip this because it feels like marketing homework. But the 10 minutes you spend getting clear on your ICP will save you hours of staring at the blank page, wondering, what should I post about? And really, those questions, those ICP questions, lead directly to part 2, which is your content pillars. And this is something most founders have a version of. Maybe it's just a mental list, but they really follow out of these ICP questions that we've just asked in step 1. Your pillars are the 3 to 5 categories that all your content falls into. But here's where most people get it wrong. They pick pillars based on what they want to talk about, not based on what their ICP needs to hear. So really, your content pillars should sit at the intersection of 3 things. What you know deeply, what your audience cares about, and what positions you as the obvious expert in your space. And then once you have these, you can combine them with a simple framework that I call GAP. growth content, authority content, and personal content. And every good content strategy consists of all three of these angles to use your topics. Growth content is the stuff that gets reach, broader topics, relatable moments, things people want to share, ideally. Authority content is the stuff that positions you as the expert, deep dives, frameworks, how-tos, stuff where you're actually showing your work and where you're showing your results. And then personal content is the stuff that builds connection, behind the scenes, lessons learned, your human side, your face, who you are, basically the essence of your personal brand that distinguishes you from other people in your field. Because chances are you are solving something that other people are doing as well. And really, you need all three. Only authority content and you're boring, only personal content and it's kind of a diary and nobody knows what you're actually doing. Only growth content and you get reach but no business results. So your pillars should be mapped to these three purposes. And once you've got that nailed down, it's time for part 3, and that is the content plan. And it basically where all of this comes together a little bit. This is where you turn your pillars into an actual weekly schedule and you take the guesswork out of a lot that you're doing. So you know which pillar you post about on Monday and Tuesday, what's your rhythm, when do you write an authority post, when do you write a personal post, when do you write a growth post. The easiest model to start out, do 3 posts a week, maybe Tuesday, Thursday, and 1 on the weekend. I'd suggest to do the personal post on the weekend and then pick any day during the week for the authority and the growth one. And really just write it down, the combination of the angle, growth, authority, personal, and your topics. And write that down for your week, for your month, for 3 months ahead. You don't have to write the post yet. You don't have to have the post idea yet. You just know what to talk about in which style on which day. And it sounds so basic, but it's incredibly powerful because the biggest killer of consistency isn't a lack of ideas, it's decision fatigue, it's not having the structure and the framework to execute in. So when you sit down to write and you have to decide what category to write about, what format to use, what angle to take, that's exhausting. That takes a lot of mental bandwidth. But you can easily preload this and greatly reduce your chances of quitting 2 weeks in. So imagine when you know that Monday is always your growth pillar, Wednesday is always your authority pillar, you've eliminated an entire layer of decisions. You sit down knowing exactly what type of content you're creating, and really this is what separates people who post consistently for years from people who burn out in months. Now, part 4 are your KPIs. What are you actually tracking? Most founders, if they track anything, they track followers, maybe they track impressions, and those aren't useless metrics, but they are vanity metrics. They feel good, maybe, but they don't tell you if your content is actually working. What you really want to track depends on your goal, really. If you want a pipeline, track DMs and comments from your ICP. If you want authority, track saves and shares. If you want to grow your audience, track follower growth rate, not total followers. And here's the key. You need to set actual targets. Not I want more impressions, but I want impressions up 15% in 4 weeks. Because without a target, you can't know if something's working or not, if you're progressing into the right direction or not. You're just posting into the void and you're hoping. Part 5 is tests. What experiments are you running? And this is one almost nobody has. And I would recommend to get into the rhythm of just posting consistently before you start doing tests. So first, nail your strategy, then nail your system, and then start doing tests. But definitely do tests. Most founders post the same way for months. Same hooks, same formats, same posting times, and wonder why their results are flat. A testing mindset means you're always trying to learn something, Maybe this month you're testing short hooks versus long hooks, or carousel versus text posts, or posting at 8 a.m. versus noon. The key to this is to only test one thing at a time, run it long enough to get real data, usually 2 to 4 weeks, and then make a decision based on what you learned. Really, without tests, you're just doing the same thing and hoping for different results. With tests, you're systematically getting better. And part 6 is really your engagement plan. So what happens after you post? And really this one has become very, very essential with all the algorithm changes that we had to endure in 2025. And what most founders don't realize is the post itself is maybe 50% of the work. What you do in the hour around your posting time matters just as much. Do you reply to every comment? How fast? Do you DM people who leave thoughtful comments? Do you comment on other people's posts before and after you publish? LinkedIn's algorithm heavily favors posts that get engagement quickly. And engagement comes from relationships. If you post and ghost, you're leaving reach on the table. And an engagement plan means you know exactly what you're doing in that first hour, in that 30 minutes, 15 minutes before posting, 15 minutes after posting, 30 minutes before posting, 30 minutes after posting. Reply to comments within X minutes, DM high intent commenters within 24 hours. Comment on 10 profiles before you post to warm up the algorithm. This stuff isn't complicated, but it's a chore. But if you've written it down, if you know what to do and you have a structure to not get distracted by the LinkedIn feed and the LinkedIn platform, then you have a chance to do it consistently. All right, so that is the 6-part framework: ICP, pillars, plan, KPIs, tests, engagement. But here's the reality check. If you were going to build this yourself, probably you're looking at hours of work. You need to research your audience, figure out your positioning, design your pillars, map out your calendar, decide what to measure, plan your experiments, systemize your engagement. It's not impossible, but it's a lot. And for most founders, it never gets done because there's always something more urgent. I'm speaking from experience here, which is exactly why most founders don't have a full strategy. Not because they don't want one, but because building one is a project in itself, and that project keeps getting pushed to next week. So I've built something to solve this for you. Meet Rachel, our content strategy designer. It's an AI agent, and she basically does all the work for you. And all you need to do is to give her your LinkedIn profile URL and your email address. And Rachel will go out, analyze your profile and your content, your positioning. Rachel will figure out who you're trying to reach and what you should be talking about. And then it sends you an email with your complete personalized strategy. So let me show you what Rachel sent me for my profile. It's an email which has basically all the 6 pillars: the ICP, content pillars, content plan, KPIs, potential tests to run, and the engagement plan. And it's all personalized for me, right? Founders, early stage and bootstrap founders, or solo builders who want to grow a personal brand but have very limited time to create and publish LinkedIn content. This is exactly my ICP. The content pillars: LinkedIn scheduling and workflow, AI ghostwriting for founders, content idea management, post templates, and speed publishing. She even created a content plan for me and told me what to do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and so on, which category to use, which topic to use, and what KPIs to track, and even some potential tests to run along with an engagement strategy. So all the elements are there, and it took all of 2 minutes to get this email. So really, this is the strategy that would take hours to build for yourself maybe, and most founders never get around to building it. It's a really, really great starting point for you to set up your system and to get going. And really, you have it in your inbox before you finish your coffee. Obviously, link for this is in the description. It's completely free. Get your strategy, read through it, and then, actually use it. That's the key part, I guess. The best strategy in the world doesn't help if it sits in your inbox. Maybe just pick one thing from what Rachel sends you and implement it this week. Maybe it's the content calendar, maybe it's the engagement plan, maybe it's running the first test. Start somewhere, but start now. All right, that's it for this week. If you found this useful, let me know in the comments which of the 6 parts you were missing. Really curious about that. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and see you next week.